All right, everyone. What's going on? This is Jordan, Conquer Trading and Investing, and we're getting ready here for the live stream. And listen, I'm really late, about 42 minutes late. Apologize for that. It's really obviously my fault, but we're currently in Mexico. They didn't set the clocks back, so I was a little caught off guard over here. And it was a crazy day over here domestically in the house. So I do apologize for that. Gabriel, Thomas, some new faces in here. Good morning. Bill Boy, Okioki, Santosh, Khan. Sorry about that, Jesse. I really am. I'll talk about it later. I'll talk about it later. But what we're gonna do for the immediate future though is we're gonna be starting at 9:30 a.m. because I still need to get the kids ready for school. We're just gonna start at 9:30 a.m. Nevertheless, I don't even know where to begin today. As Heath was just saying, the U.S. markets are limit down, closed. I don't even know where to begin. Let me begin by taking a sip of this coffee and then getting into with all of you. Sunset Ventures, good to see you in here again. Great to see you. Here's the thing, as we begin today, and the more comments and insight that you guys include, the better for everyone today. All right. Here's the thing. We are in uncharted territory. We are completely in uncharted territory right now. Raul Pal on Real Vision founder, co-founder Raul Pal. You can find his Twitter account to search Raul Pal. Adding some fantastic insight to the financial community throughout all of this. Good one to follow these days. When I say we're in unprecedented territory, look, here's the difference between now and the last crisis. The last crisis in 2008 was a banking crisis, right? It was pretty easy to stop. What do they need to do? Well, they just needed to come in there, bail out the banks, juice up the markets with some stimulus, and they were able to get through that. At that point, though, everything was pretty fragile. It was as President Bush described it, a house of cards. Today, we're in a much different situation. We are in new charted territory because this time we're talking about perhaps the loss of faith of the central banks. All right. Let's check this out over here. Obviously, the big story of the day and is so important right now is oil. Oil traded down 30%. I don't know if we should be looking at the weekly charts or what as we get started over here. Oil down 30% on the open. All right, where Saudi Arabia is obviously pretty much declared war as far as oil is concerned. Their cost of production is about $20 a barrel. Russia didn't want to cut during the OPEC meeting. Saudi came in there and said, all right, we're going to play ball. Russia also has a very low cost of production. U.S. shale, this is a big problem. U.S. shale's cost of production begins at $40. All right. Right now, all U.S. companies are losing money. They are leveraged on credit. What's going to happen? They can't make any payments right now. The Dallas Federal Reserve Bank said that banks are not to collect any type of force anyone into bankruptcy. Already we're seeing intervention. This is going to cause massive deflation into the world that's already hurting. You would think that it would be good for the consumer or for all of us paying lower gas prices at the pump. But, let's see if that's passed on and how quickly that's passed on. Listen, we're going to start from the top and take it down. Markets closed. S&P is a limit down. Look at this. This is just getting ugly, right? Quickly. We always talked about when the markets come down, they come down hard and fast. I have to be honest. I'm completely blindsided about the with the speed this is all occurring. And the truth is, well, there's a couple of before, it doesn't even make sense to get into the charts so much right now until we discuss and give a baseline of what we're facing. All right. And then we'll get right into the charts because I love charts like all of you. Coronavirus and coffee. Mima, and the coronavirus is obviously it's the black swan that's causing all of this because things were already in a precarious position before we got into it. Here's the thing. Lost train of thought there. That's all right. We'll just take it as it comes and keep going. Oh, this could be the early days of this what appears to be a substantial crisis, or guys, if you let's talk about the coronavirus. Things in South Korea look to be definitely shape. They look to be controlled. Things look a little bit better. If you look at Asia, for the most part, things they're ahead. They're about 6 weeks ahead of the rest of the world. Things there seem to be stabilizing. That's a lot of hope, right? That is hopeful sign. Let me pull up the numbers with you. The problem with what's going on right now, and we'll talk about all US dollar pairs, we'll talk about the US dollar, Swiss franc, we'll talk about everything. The problem with the US dollar pairs, problem right now with there's so much to cover. We're going to get into it. You know what? First of all, little housekeeping before we even continue. There was a great comment on the weekly Forex forecast. And basically what it said is, and it's someone who's been following the channel for months, and every single weekend they leave, an insightful comment on the video. And they were like, you know what, you guys, you do a lot of live trading and it's extraordinarily helpful to everyone during the day. It might be helpful to front load the beginning of the live stream by you going over what's actually in play, and then actually, taking the time to go over everything, in a slower pace. And I actually agree with that. That's something that I'm gonna try to implement. Today threw me off because of the time change. We'll get back into that. So, and I'm a little jumbled, sporadic, back and forth. All right, I see that. That's okay. There's going to be a ton of good information shared today. South Korea. I wish I could just click on this chart here of South Korea and then look how the cases have been progressing from day to day. Obviously, we expect in the West, we expect to see a ton of new cases this week and next week as the U.S. starts testing. That's going to be great for headlines and the shock effect. They're talking or hinting about possibly putting people in New York in quarantine. That's all good. But if Asia does contain itself, and how did Hong Kong do such a good job in containing itself, right? How did Hong Kong, which borders China, do such a good job in containing itself? Is there a possibility? The damage has been done. There's no question about that. The damage has been done to the markets, to the economy. But is there a possibility that by the end of April, as Trump said, that this thing kind of, is more or less, contained? I really hope so. I know that all of us are prepared, and you have to be prepared. But I really hope that, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of jobs otherwise. A lot of people are going to lose their income. A lot of people are going to lose work. It's ugly out there right now. I think you guys are really pining to get into the charts. Help you with that. Let's start there. We're going to start with the Aussie yen. I am so I will not stop. I will not. I did this last week with you all, and I'm going to do it again today. Only because, and Jesse, you were in those trades too. You were in the same trades on the New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, Swiss franc. There was no reason not to hold them to full profit. So we need to look at the weekly here. Heath, anything that you want to add to this, if you were looking at it, please do. This is insane. We're gonna have to go to the monthly chart here now. Let's see where we bounce. Do you see the support right over here? I think before we get into chart here, look, here's clearly the support. You could see that support, resistance, resistance. You could see the spikes down. We're looking at a monthly chart right here, right now. We're looking at a monthly chart, so you see all the spikes down, but this is the level that held. Come over till today, right? It held exactly as support. What do you do here? What do you do if you're looking to trade this right now? We're in unprecedented territories. We're outside the norm right now, right? We're outside the norm. Right, Tico? I think it's unnatural anyway. So Heath, I'm at a loss for words. There's no sane way to trade this, right? There's no sane way to trade this. And since the open, in the open, of course, but there's nothing to say here, Heath. There's no insight or advice whatsoever that can be given as far as how to trade this right now. So if you have any input or any insight, I want to work together. All all that I can say is that this was really poor execution. We saw it coming from the very beginning, and it was just pure poor execution. All right. So here's the thing, though, and it could go both ways. We're at a position right now. Things are getting bad. It's probably the beginning days, and I'm not saying that things are gonna exponentially get worse from here at all. There's no question about it that we could have seen the capitulation today on Monday on the open. This could be the capitulation. I don't know what's going to happen from here. All we could do is kind of reassess and reevaluate, and probably more than once a day with a market moving like this. We're back to like the 2008 crisis situation, right? Which was very, very fast, evolving, and fluid, and that's where we're at right now. Today, I need to take a look at every single thing, top to bottom, just to get that feeling of keeping the pulse and know where I'm at. But there's absolutely no play here. You can't short it, right? Because look at this, look at the move right into, and you can't go long here. There's no play there. So let's talk about and this is more important, I think, Thomas. And we'll talk about the euro next. And that's exactly, Blair, exactly where I want to focus on before we even look at charts. I'll just pull up the chart right now to take a look at it. And you are right. Look at that. Good insight, Peter. We'll get back to that in a second. Though I want to. Thomas brought up something really important, and Blair touched on it. What's the next actions? So Thursday, the ECB is meeting, right? All right. Listen, what are they going to do, and how is the market going to react? This is. I don't think the Fed could step in before Thursday. That's entirely possible. But here's the thing: these central banks, they're on the phone with each other all day. Powell said it in his press conference after the emergency cut. He's in close contact with all the central banks on the phone all the time. They're in crisis situation. Believe me, they're talking and they're acting together. They're trying to help each other until they act, until they need to, you know, last man standing. But right now they're working together. So probably the ECB goes first, right? And the ECB is going to do some type of easing, and it's just a question of what they do on Thursday, and then it's a question of what the markets think of it before we get to the Fed, because the Fed is coming up next week. All right. So there's an article on Zero Hedge this morning about the possibility of what the ECB could do. There's three options, right? They do nothing, which probably won't happen. They do something that's not enough, or they come in really big. So this is the next event on our radar. I don't think that the Fed is going to come in here and step in and act before the ECB on Thursday. I think the Fed wants to. The Fed only has one move left. Let's talk about the New York Fed. The Fed only has one move left. What is that? It's basically to cut to zero. They're probably going to come in not with a 50% cut. They're probably going to come in with a 75 basis point cut. Probably. Who knows what they're going to do, right? What are the markets going to do, and how are the markets going to act off of that? Nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows. Well, all we could do is watch the charts. Tom, I mean, Blair, Tom, you're asking the right questions. Is that scary? The DJ, the repo market, right? I didn't get the details of that. As you all know, first of all, I don't mean to keep things personal ever at all. But me and my wife, we slept very little last night. She had to, get on a flight this morning with her mom, taking her to see a doctor. Please, anyone who really keep her mom and her health in her prayers, please do. Woke up to you guys being like, "Where's Jordan?" I had no idea about the time difference, and then I'm going to make some coffee, and then three of the girls were going crazy. It's been like that, right? So I didn't get the details of the Fed's repo action, but I know that they were very active. They're going to continue in doing that, which brings us literally to the next thing, DJ, is after they get to zero, the Fed is going to start QE. That's when it becomes scary. It's not on the rate cut, Blair. What happens if the market fades QE? Then things become really scary. How is gold acting? We need to ask. It's so much to talk about. It's ridiculous. Gold's unchanged on the day. Not so bad considering what we're dealing with over here, right? Made some new highs, came back down. It's just consolidating, but it's not consolidating. Gold is also tradable right now. Peter was talking about the exotics, and I agree with you, Peter, here. And not only that, really pretty cool that your attention was brought over here. By the way, Peter, just a heads up. That's the Hong Kong dollar. Forget about it. Gold is instead of consolidating over here, if you look at it, it's consolidating on the highs. That's pretty bullish and remains very bullish. We saw all that action last week, where it got pretty nutty. But right now, this is pricing in not only the cuts, but this is pricing in the QE, right? So Bitcoin got hammered also. Bitcoin is definitely trading lower than I expected. I thought the 82 would have been the line in the sand and hold. And, we're coming up until this trend line over here, right? So now I have to believe that the possibility exists, which I didn't believe that this could break. And the reason I'm talking about Bitcoin is because Bitcoin and gold are going to be the only answer here once the Fed starts QE. Bitcoin and gold are going to be the answer, and it's going to be the year 2020, 2021 are going to be the year of Bitcoin and gold. if this breaks over here, this trend line, you know, and then we come down over here, we talked about if we broke 5,800, if we broke 5,800, then my whole thesis on Bitcoin, you know, comes into question. Is it possible that happens? It's entirely possible that happens. However, we're now, I don't know what's today's date. We're less than 2 months away from the halving. I expect this to be extraordinarily bullish for Bitcoin. I think that right now at these levels down here, this is a place to lean into. I don't think that the sell-off in the markets is why Bitcoin is trading down. Look at that beautiful pattern. Look at this beautiful bear flag. Bear flag into resistance. Heath, Oki, how did we miss that over the weekend? I was looking at on a 4-hour a bull flag. Oh, how did we miss that? The reason I'm focusing here on Bitcoin right now is because we're at a super attractive level, $7,800. Pretty heavy, pretty nice support over here. $7,800. We're at a really attractive level for Bitcoin in the bigger picture. I think Bitcoin traded down not because of what's going on in the markets. I think Bitcoin traded down because of something going on with inside cryptocurrency. On Friday, 13,000 Bitcoin were moved from a scam project and just dumped on 3 different exchanges all weekend. I think that is what has caused this move in Bitcoin, and I think it's important as the Fed comes down to zero and QE for real is next, right? Gold and Bitcoin, the hard money, are what's gonna lead. Nice, okay. I think that is a super level. I did the same thing last night. I got up out of bed. I'll call it where you're in. It's a little bit lower, but same difference. And you know, again, just before I leave Bitcoin, zoom in. First of all, log scale. Looks super bullish to me. I know, obviously, I'm focused in mostly on the 4-year halving cycle, but look, we're coming in close to this resistance. We're off of this support right now. Look at it right here. Look at my mouse. That's strong support. This was strong support here. When it finally did break, it was strong resistance. And now we're trading into it. We got this trendline support below. Looks pretty attractive. That's all I could say. It looks very attractive. Sunset Ventures, please just look at go into the Bitcoin playlist on the channel. Go to the playlist, go to Bitcoin, watch 2 videos, the Bitcoin halving prediction, and then when to sell in the next bull phase. Just before you make any moves, please do consider those 2 videos. I think they're both extraordinarily insightful and informative. All right. I know you guys are interested to get at the charts. Here's the thing, though. I just can't imagine someone trading right now. Right? US dollar, Swiss franc. We need to start. I don't know if we need to be on the weekly or we need to be on the daily to really understand these moves. Let's not look at the US dollar, Swiss franc. Let's look at the dollar. Is this the end of the dollar? So here's my problem. Here's my issue that I internally I'm trying to work out. So I understand the fact the dollar was repriced last week, not only because of the 50% basis rate cut, but because the market is pricing in another 50 to 75 basis rate cut. And then after that, even QE, right? So I understand that, but what about the rest of the world, right? What about the rest of the world? Is what country is more attractive than the US in this moment? So that's one piece. The more important piece for me is you all know what happened back in 2008. You know, 2008, this is the Lehman moment, October. The dollar strength was just fierce, right? The dollar strength was fierce. And as things structurally break in the world, what the moves in these markets, whether they're going to take down some hedge funds or take down some multinational conglomerates, or are they going to take down a country? All those things are on the table and entirely possible. All those things are entirely possible. And we're going to find out really soon, but the flight to the dollar is something that in a times like this, listen, I'm going to be honest. We over the past 10 days, we haven't seen that. We've seen a flight to the euro, a flight to the end. The end. Dollar has gotten after making that high, has gotten smacked down, and it's come so hard and so fast. What happens this week with the ECB? These are all questions that I'm asking myself, and I don't have the answers. I'm trying to navigate these waters, which again, these are 100% abnormal market conditions. Now, when you say Blair, Jeff might be right. Was he talking about the end of the financial system or the end of the dollar? Yeah, Mimad, let's definitely touch that out before we continue further with anything else. Well, this is insane, right? To see the New Zealand dollar rally like this versus the dollar. This was the opening over here, and you know, let me skip to the daily. This is just rough. So I can't imagine the New Zealand dollar rallying against the dollar as it is, but here we are, and here it is happening, right? That's for sure. We're seeing that happen. We're coming into an area of resistance right now. Let's look even at the 4-hour right now. We're coming into this area of resistance. It's a strong area of resistance. You know how to play it, Mima. You really know how to play it over here. If price starts making lower lows, and you know what, with the markets moving like these, it's actually a better idea if this volatility stays like this to focus more on the 4-hour, 100%. During the 2008 crisis, the 4-hour was more profitable than the 8-hour. The 8-hour was extraordinarily profitable. I traded them both equally at that time, but the 4-hour was more profitable. You entered more trades and it was more profitable. We're coming up and we're testing this now. We have a lot of momentum over here. Now, if we start making lower lows, then there's a good chance that this resistance holds. If not, we have a couple of levels to look at. I'll extend this green line for you. Oh, not like that, I won't. This is not strong resistance, but it's an area of definitely resistance over here. It's worth keeping on your chart and looking at, especially since it is about 70 pips to the upside. That's going to be an area, if we don't hold over here, that the market's going to look at next. And you have all these lines of resistance going all the way up. That's how you need to just solely forget imposing your own opinions on the market and trade off of the charts 100%. So it's impossible for me to say, will the New Zealand dollar continue appreciating versus the dollar? Is the dollar done right now? Right? I mean, again, going back to what I think, the greater the trouble, the more you're going to see a flight into the dollar. So that's not happening yet. The next 2 weeks, I think, are going to be pretty exciting, and I have no idea what's going to happen. Right? But Mima, if you're in a position over here right now, and we do continue to take out this resistance here, you're looking about 70 pips up into the next area. If you get rejected over here, all right, and you don't have a stop in, it might be a good idea to put the stop in above here. This is completely abnormal to see something like this happen, right? I think right now is also a time. This is where short time trading is encouraged when the markets are moving like this. Momentum and short time frame minded is definitely the play. The time for position trades, and we talked about it, and I thought, oh, this is a good job holding this trade, for such profit for a week. Great job. Should have held it for 3 weeks and should have crushed it. That was the time for position trades was a couple of weeks ago when we were really talking about that. I failed. What I thought was good trades were in hindsight only okay trades. I left a lot of profit that I foresaw on the table. I got shooken out of my trade and trades, and it's just poor trading considering the environment. But right now is not the time for position trades. Right now is the time for shorter time frame minded trades and following and sticking with that momentum. The 100%. This is the comment of the day so far, Abraham. The comment, of course. So during I don't want to be as black and white as that. Also, Abraham, today, 100%. This session with the moves we saw in the last 24 hours, it's very difficult jumping in there. So that it makes no sense. Yeah, Martin, but it was. I think it was Jesse who was short the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Swiss francs with me, and we looked at the targets. They would have hit those targets. They seemed insane at the time. The targets we were looking at. I took profits early. I don't know what Jesse did, but a lot of accounts did get blown up on that opening yesterday, Martin. Yeah, we'll look at oil for sure, Eric. But I just want to, Abraham. Yes, you should have the mindset of being on the sidelines and observing. But during that time, if anything becomes abundantly clear, do take advantage of it. There's plenty of opportunity, and there's going to continue to be plenty of opportunity, so long as you could have that perspective of sitting back watching, and then when it becomes abundantly clear, going ahead and do attacking. You don't need to be on the sidelines 100%, but you want to have that. I think that's a great mindset to have, that you're more leaning towards the sidelines. So difficult to trade right now. Again, momentum right now, obviously and clearly, it kept down. I think 20 something percent, came as far down as 30%. My father-in-law told me on Friday that he wanted to buy oil, and this was before this happened. And I told him, absolutely not. We're going to see 26. He looked at me like I was crazy. We didn't hit 26. We hit 27, 27.30. Right? I was off. Probably, again, all of us are a little too precise on our targets. Where we go from here, I don't know. I don't know if we even close this gap or not, which I wouldn't put it past us. But the fundamentals of oil right now are that basically it's a war. Saudi Arabia is not only ramping up production, they're also at the same time selling oil $4 or $7 cheaper to China, and this is the equivalent of a hot war in the oil market. Obviously, I believe we're going to see lower prices. I think we're going to take out the low over here eventually, and I think 22 is in my mind, and it's entirely possible that we trade lower than that. So this party is just getting started. but how to position yourself in right now if you weren't already short, and probably most people aren't. Um, I think you got to wait. I think you got to wait until things become clearer. Eric, the fundamentals are screaming we're going to, that oil is priced appropriately right now. Russia didn't want to cut production in the OPEC meeting. Saudi Arabia said, fine, you don't want to cut production. We're going to raise production. They declared war. U.S. shale is going to get roasted here. We're going to see lower prices because the price is trading lower. Every other country that lives off oil, what could they do? The only thing they can do to make up the difference is sell more oil. So it's a question of, well, you can keep it easy actually. Prices rising right now. Whatever time frame you're trading, wait for the lower low to happen. That's how you can start. That you can start scaling in. Yeah, right. Which way, Jesse? Up or down? I think it's going to keep going down. I mean, it's a fantastic play. You're looking at the correct thing: strength versus weakness. 100% great preparation and putting the trade together, but a little bit late in the fact that trade has been developing for a little while, right? Um, Peter, you can't take the trade down here anymore, right? This was yesterday was a day of perhaps taking off the table and taking profits. Now you're 100% correct in what you're looking for. Oil is going to be continue to be pressure. That's going to weigh on the Canadian dollar. Right now, we're seeing flight to safety, flight to the Japanese yen. Let me play the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. But as a trader, we need to be always looking at what is going to be happening next, right? So all of that last week, this time on Monday, was in the cards, and that was the time to really focus in on that, Peter. So really good job in where you're focusing your attention, and that's exactly the correct thing to do. But now you got to get the timing. So that your job as a trader is to be ahead of the market, not behind it, not with the market, not behind it. You're not behind it, but you're with it, and the market's pricing this in already correctly. Um, so you can't chase this right now. Same thing, like you can't, you know, selling oil down here at 34 is a little tough, even though I think we're going to see lower prices eventually. That might not play out this week or anything like that. And this was a place to sell. So really, really good in the way you're thinking, in the way you're seeing things. But now you got to translate that and take it to the next level, and that's seeing things before they happen. So Tesla's remained the beast throughout all this. So here's the thing, and that's exactly, let's build off what we were just talking about. This is exactly the thing. It's very clear to see what is the right play, but those moves have happened, right? And it's our job as a trader to really perceive what is going to happen next and get in before the market realizes it, not to get in after the market realizes it. Yes, the price of oil should continue to go down. Right, Peter. This is and I want to keep like this is the best lesson for each and every one of us, and it's so important in really discussing and talking about. You're totally seeing what is happening. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Yes, but the market's priced that in already. Last week, uh, was it possible to know that Saudi Arabia was going to declare war? No, that was not possible. Was it possible to know that the Canadian that Russia was going to go ahead and not give into cuts? Maybe that's irrelevant. But we did know because of the coronavirus, we were going to continue to see decreased demand for oil, which would have meant lower oil prices. We didn't think oil was going to drop, 30% overnight. But again, I did tell my father-in-law on Friday, no, we're looking at $26 oil. Don't buy it here at 40. 41's not cheap. And that's what I mean by looking ahead. We didn't not you couldn't foresee this move. That's fine, but we could have last week been looking forward, and that's what I want to do next, right? That's where I want to get everyone's headed. And what's next? We can't chase these moves today. You could play momentum for sure, right? You could follow momentum. You could if you're looking to take 30, 40, 50 pips out of the market, and you're a day trader, now's your time. Shine. I support that. This is the time to be doing it. I hope Panero is killing it because this is his environment. This is his environment 100%. Um, what's next though? So I'm looking forward to the ECB, right? Euro pairs. Euro pairs have been probably are destroying everything. Someone talked about the euro. Anthony talked about the you can't chase this now. Look at this 1,000 pip move, right? The time was last night. Wasn't going to keep going up straight, but what do you do now? What else? Euro Canadian dollar. I mean, look at these moves. You're in no man's land. How do you trade that? So going back to what was said by Thomas Abraham, should we be on the sidelines? Well, today I think so, right? He's saying for a few weeks. I think until you have a clear understanding of what the next moves are. Yes, right. Um, how do you after these huge moves? How do you trade them? I don't have the answer for that at all. I right, Mata. He must be truly destroying it. Oh, there he is, Herrero. Very very cool. So Blair, this is also a very. How does the plunge protection team work? So I don't know how long ago it was now, but I would say 3 or 4 months ago, the head of the plunge protection team, basically the guy who knew how everything worked, left the Federal Reserve, and it left them. It would be interesting to see if we could pull up the article, and it left them basically without anyone who knows what they're doing. That's who's running the Fed right now. Um, could they continue to print money yeah, until there's a loss of faith in the dollar, they could do that, right? There's nothing to stopping them from the amount of money they print, but the Fed is not always looking to inflate their way out in the 30s, and everyone has been saying this current environment most closely relates to what happened in the late 20s, the Roaring 20s, right, which led to the Depression. There remains the option of the central banks looking to basically reset this through a deflation and through a depression, right? My mind has always wrestled with this past 12 months. What are they going to do? Are they going to inflate their way out, or are they going to deflate their way out? And you know, who knows? I guess I think it depends also what happens in the United States. If you get some people who really advocate spending and MMNT, You could, and we started seeing things like free healthcare, free education, things like that, there's no question that we would be, headed towards inflation and headed towards Venezuela. But I do know the only thing that held its purchasing power during the depression was gold. And whichever way they take it, gold and Bitcoin are really going to be the only assets that are going to protect your purchasing power, whether they inflate it or deflate it away. So, Anera, the best information I could give on the situation in oil, I hope it's helpful, is that OPEC met last week. They wanted to cut production. Russia did not agree to that. Russia and Saudi Arabia both have the lowest cost of oil production in the world, and Russia didn't agree. Saudi Arabia turned around and said, "Okay, and then we're going to increase production, I believe, to 10 million barrels a day," and they said they could take it high as 12 million. And at the same time, they also said, "And we're also going to be selling oil to China, uh, somewhere between $3 and $7 cheaper than market." So that was the equivalent of Saudi Arabia, not to like starting a hot war in oil. And that is why we saw oil open up 30% down, or open up 20% down, and go trade down as far as 30. And right now it's retracing here a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to see lower oil prices. How you trade it and timing, well, that's a different story. That's always the hard part. Jesse, this is the also the comment of the day. You guys are really, and I thank you for that, because I asked. Um, and here we have Sham Karu. Let the market settle and give a direction. 100%. I wish you could highlight and plus one that comment, but I'm gonna, just for the people who are catching this on the replay, I want to share that again, because this is exactly what we need to do. Unless you are, again, an arrow, I advocated earlier, just a little before you jumped in. Listen, if anyone is focused in on short time frames, if anyone is following momentum, I completely advocate that right now. This is the market for doing that. You know, obviously last night even more so, but 100%. For the rest of us, letting the market settle and give a clear direction, 100%. And then Jesse, following that up, looking at the charts right now, I don't want to take any trades. Might have to wait. 100%. There's 100%. And throughout all of this, because so this, I mean, one way or another, we're just getting started here. I don't think we're going to calm down to low volatility. I think the volatility which we've seen over the past 3 months increase. It looked like maybe it was accumulation, came to a peak for the immediate future yesterday on the opening, but we're going to continue to see volatility. Monero, anytime you could jump in and give some insight, post some charts on the lower time frames, please do that. Please do that. So it almost makes little sense to jump through the charts, but we need to do it regardless. Let's start getting. You know what? I think I need to just start on the weekly here. Let's go down and look at some charts. Let's find out what's going on. Let's get that deeper perspective, right? And let's keep enforcing in our mind what's going on here. So when we see something develop, we're able to work it out and take advantage of it. Wilford, what's going on, man? Great to see you. And Wilford, I appreciate the email. Thank you for that. That was really kind of you. Starting here with gold, right? So it's been look at we're looking at the weekly here, everyone. All right, so you can see the weekly. We saw gold coming up, making I don't know, since it was 2013, making highs, getting rocked during the initial market sell off over here, but finding support and since trading up now near highs, but it's consolidating at new highs. This is really important. We know that the next move from the Fed, where we expect to have, first of all, the ECB join the party on Thursday. We also expect. Let's look at gold versus the euro. So this is probably a better opportunity here right now. This looks good. This looks like it might be some opportunity, forward thinking, ECB getting involved. Euro's been so strong. Gold still, has been a beast. I'm kicking myself right now. I'm kicking myself because back in late June, over here. Listen, guys, trading's never easy. And before I continue my thoughts, please bear with me. It's all a learning experience, and any experience that I could share with all of you, the better. But going back to June over here, I wanted to put on a long gold short euro trade and walk away. And the thing is that I don't know what happens next. I knew what was going to happen, but over here I see price trading at the highs, comes off a tiny bit, and instead of sticking with the instinct, I never did it. I the only reason I'm pointing that out is forget about making my year. The opportunity is always in the markets. The opportunity is always in the markets. Instead of being so ready to take trades, uh, spending that extra time and working out the broader picture, and then acting for what's going to be happening in the future is the way to go. Anyway, sorry about digressing there. Right over here, we have gold, obviously, versus the dollar, which I was looking at first, was consolidating towards the highs. Makes sense with the dollar weak, but gold is super strong. The euro we've seen uber strong versus everything. Gold kind of doing its thing. ECB is getting ready to act. This might be where I focus my attention. Gold versus euro. Martin, I see the S&P trading right now. I see the Dow and the Nasdaq all trading right now. So they have, I don't know the exact levels. I believe there's a 5%. Um, I don't have the exact levels because you guys all know I don't focus in on equities. Martin, uh, on Twitter, if you do a quick search for limit down, try limit down -5%, and then probably the tweet will pull. I'll do it for you. Give me one. But I believe it's 5%. They close for a certain amount. I don't like talking about things until I know exactly what it is. So anyone who has a counter thought to the gold euro trade, please let me know because I'm going to be focusing in on there. No, Martin, I did a quick search. It's not coming up right away, so I'm not sure. Definitely, there you go. 5-7. How, Oki, do you know how long they close for? Is it 15 minutes they go down for? I don't know the specifics. If someone could Google it and then pass on the link, that would be awesome. No, Wilford, we've all I thank you for anytime you jump in here, it's a joy. Gold euro. I think this is a place to focus in right now, especially with the moves we've seen on the euro of late. Gold maintaining its bullishness, ECB getting ready to act. Whether or not what type of effect that has on the dollar, I don't know so much, but I think that gold should prevail. 15 minutes each time. Thank you. All right. So starting back, gold, super bullish. Silver getting wrecked. Silver getting wrecked. Is this a good place to buy silver? I don't know. So I remember during the last crisis, precious metals did get wrecked initially before QE started, and then once QE started, that was the bull mania phase. But the problem is that this time, this crisis is not a banking crisis. This time it is a central banking crisis. A loss of faith in the central banks could only lead to people going into precious metals. Now, euro, British pound, into this resistance over here. Euro has come far and strong. Has it come too far? I don't know. The Bank of England is also set to act, but I like I think up at these levels it becomes attractive here. The pound over the euro becomes attractive over here. Let's continue watching this one. Woo! There you go. We're breaking down out of our range here on the New Zealand dollar. Breaking out of this range, continuing to new lows. Look at the price. Look, guys, I'm so sorry. How do you look at these ranges over here? Again, sit back, watch. Right now, I'm just using this as an exercise to get a feel of what's going on. Nothing more, nothing else. Just having my brain soak everything in, waiting for that opportunity. New Zealand dollar is so strong all of a sudden, right? We saw that versus the dollar. I mean, dollar's weak, but look at the New Zealand dollar. Look at this range today. So US dollar, Swiss franc, there's no like I need to go back and look at what happened during the crisis 2008 and so the dollar was stronger than the Swiss franc during the crisis. The only thing stronger than the dollar was the Japanese yen. Um, although I expect if something quick happens, if we start seeing talk of you know not just hedge funds blowing up, but if we start seeing something happening in the credit markets, then there's a possibility that it's time to lean into the dollar over the Swiss franc. Again, you know, people are calling the death of the dollar right now, and maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case, but it's a dollar-based system. The dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and although people are trying to slowly diversify out, if there's a systematic problem, the dollar should benefit. We traded down so low into that support over here on the US dollar, Japanese yen. Um, again, I don't see any reason with the Fed looking to cut rates, whether they cut it 50 or 75 basis points and then getting toward that zero line. And then the next thing that could happen is QE. I can't imagine stepping in front here of the dollar, but the moves happened, right? So So Wilford, that there you go. The candles are scary. There's nothing else to say about that. They are, especially on the New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar, that's so crazy. We took a really good look at Bitcoin. I'm gonna do it again only because it's so important and it's at such attractive levels right now. So happily do that again right now. Um, just zoom out a second, and obviously we're trading within this triangle over here. Let me start on the weekly with you. Right? So the single most important thing in Bitcoin, two things. First of all, this selling that we're seeing, um, I genuinely don't think that it's because of the market conditions. I believe Bitcoin trades within its own 4-year cycle, which is less than 60 days away until the Bitcoin halving. Uh, historically, Bitcoin goes into a bull mania after the halving. You know, although it's sometime after the halving. I expect we're trading at $20,000. Come December of 2020, or right around there, and then from there, it's 2021 is off to the races. But right over here, as we're coming down into this area of the bottom of this support of this trend line support over here, we're sitting on some support right now over here, pretty strong support over here. It looks like a fantastically amazing buying opportunity. I bought some last night, and does the possibility exist right now? I think the pressure right now on Bitcoin is that what is it, plus one? They moved 13,000 Bitcoin on Friday, and on 3 different exchanges have been unloading, which caused this move down in Bitcoin. 100% is what caused the move down in Bitcoin. Seem to be stabilizing a little bit right now. We have this trend line over here. If we broke this trend line, it would be kind of ugly. And the possibility, I guess my base case, if we broke this trend line, would be that we spike down and this support over here at 6,500 holds. That would be ugly as well. Most bullish case is that we hold over here, is that we hold the support we're on right now. Don't even come in and test down into the trend line. But either which way, if you are looking, I'm looking at Bitcoin as a position trade right now, as we're approaching, the time to be buying and holding Bitcoin. I think this is a gift of an opportunity to buy at these levels over here. I stepped in and I bought some. So at this point, Thomas, if the Fed cuts to zero, I think what will happen will be when the Fed did the emergency rate cut. The first thing that I thought was going to happen was that the market was going to fade it, put pressure on the Fed to cut further, and I think the same thing will happen again. If the Fed cuts again, well, the Fed probably will cut again, and I'm not talking about the dollar. I'm talking about the U.S. equities at this moment. I think what will happen if the Fed cuts is initially the market may rally, and I don't know if that rally lasts hours or days, but I do believe ultimately the rally will be faded. The market will push down to new lows and is going to push the Fed to reinstitute QE4, right? So I think that's the play. I think that any initial relief rally or about and relief rallies in bear markets could be violent to the upside. So even shorting the indices is never easy in a bear market. It's actually really tough because the rallies upwards are always violent. And but any rally, I believe, after they cut rates, will be faded, and the market is then going to push the Fed to do QE4. And that's why gold is remaining so strong. Silver. So yeah, I'll show it right now. 100% Hanero. Um, but by the way, all of the insights shared and questions today are spot on. Are spot on. You guys are really, really, really sharing really good information, and that is the benefit of this community we're creating. That is the benefit right there. So I just want to just really sincerely take a moment to thank you all. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for what this provides here. Hanero is looking pound Japanese yen. Before we get into it, Hanero, let me look at the pound Japanese yen, just so I can get an idea of what's been going on. All right, 132.42. All right, Hanero. First thing on my eyes are looking at is this purple area of supply you have over here. The next thing I'm seeing is the minor resistance you drew in, which I like. And then here you have the daily resistance, and then you have I'm not sure what the $H side support is, but you have the support at 132.42, and I was looking at that over here at 132.42. I see that over here, and I see that touch over here, right? So that's the same exact area that you have it in there. So I have that area you have marked in from this resistance and that support, right? Good enough for me to have in my chart. Next, let's see how you attacked it. So price rejection of the fake outbreak and back into the range. All right, that's what happened first. Watched price come into the resistance over here, broke above it, and then it failed. Aggressive entry came back into the support level, and then took the TP. Man, Hanero, not an easy trade. Not an easy trade at all. You're on fire, and it's your zone. And I like how wow, it's not an easy trade though, brother. Great job in making it work out. So let's look at this. Oh, I can't to be honest, and after you see these big down moves over here, then when price kind of consolidates out over here, it's tough for me to trade. You know, um, I'm wondering, since the move was down, when price came back up, you had this minor resistance over here. Once that failed over here, if this was the easier place to get to take the short into this back and then take profit where you actually took the entry long. Um, did you consider that, Hanero, or were you more focused in on just looking to buy as we came back and tested that area of supply? No, 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 Hanero. It's a huge help to everyone, and the more you could share, the better. Um, just trying to in this moment get into your mind. I see what you did, but I want to know how in real time I could have been looking at the same thing. That's all. So from what I understand, Jesse, is that that basically China didn't need to devalue the yuan because of the price of oil, right? I mean, they obviously are huge, the world's largest importer of oil. So the basically the price of oil getting rocked basically equated to them not having to devalue the yuan. But I have no idea what happens next over here. It you know the one possibility that could foresee for the next half of the year is that the coronavirus, because they won't have the same draconian type of quarantines they had in China, because you can't do that in the West, right? Uh, that the coronavirus spreads and gets much worse outside of China, and in China the recovery starts. And if that happens, could we see a firmer yuan? It's entirely possible that we could see a much firmer yuan. So this is outside of my wheelhouse. It's entirely manipulated. They set their own rates daily. There's you know you could trade this through Owanda. It's the only place I know where you could trade the offshore, not the onshore. You could trade the offshore yuan through Owanda. Um, but I don't know. You're right, Hernero, and there's where it lies. It is, and whether you're focused in on the 30-minute time frame, the 4 hour, the 8 hour, or whatever time frame you're in, it is that muscle memory, in this case, the brain, of seeing the things play out over and over again, that just kind of makes it all intuitive. And the more you learn to trust your brain and your intuition, the more you're exercising it, uh, the greater the edge. This is insane. I mean, this is insanity. You're right, Thomas. Look at this. I, I don't have any type of explanation whatsoever, except that I could say this is totally insane. So what has caused the sharp appreciation of the New Zealand dollar over the last, what are we looking at? I have no idea. And I have no idea which way it goes from here. Does anyone? I mean, how could anyone know? Well, if we had a little bit understanding of why this part I can understand. The back down now. Are you just are we going to resume up? I have zero idea, and it's impossible to trade off the charts in this moment. Right? Momentum traders, you got momentum. You know what? And anyone who wants to really follow momentum, just pull up the 1 minute, pull up the true trend BTC. right? And you could stay on the right side of the market just following this going forward right now. You know you're on the wrong side of the trade if you pull up the 1 minute with the true trend BTC, and you're on the wrong side, right? It's the easiest thing to do in a fast moving market, and it's the best. So anyway, that's if anyone is just joining us, that is just search true trend, and then you're looking for, in this case, which is abnormal circumstances, you're looking for true trend BTC, not our normal true trend. That's how you find it. See, Heath. That's what I'm wondering. That looks to me like some type of central bank intervention. But at the same time, why weren't they happy to be seeing their currency destroyed, making their exports of dairy, goat milk cheaper? Pause here for one moment. I'm muting myself here. All right, I'm back. Wow, that's interesting. So, Danielle, would Tylenol cold and flu be any benefit for those who are showing symptoms of the coronavirus? Interesting insight, Wilfer. Hanera, I remember back when there was a Borders Books. This was Amazon was just getting into the market actually. Um, Man, I don't know. So it must have been around the year. I would say I don't know if it was 2000 or 2001. I remember on a weekend morning going over to Borders Books, picking out Steve Neeson's Japanese Candlestick, having a cup of coffee, and begin reading that. And oh, I absolutely loved it. I absorbed every single word and thought in that. It was amazing. Yep. Jesse was just sharing a tweet about Donald Trump tweeting that so far, 37,000 Americans died of the flu, between 27,000 and 70,000 per year. Nothing shut down. There's only 546 confirmed cases of the coronavirus and 22 deaths. Think about that, right? But how many people have been tested in the coronavirus out of the 320, 350 million Americans? What percent of the population has been tested? Where do you think China locked down 500 million people because it was just the common cold or the flu, or do you think they knew something? So I have to be honest, Trump dropping the ball. Is there a rate decision on the Aussie tomorrow? Hold on a second. This is following the New Zealand dollar here. So higher gold prices obviously benefit the Aussie economy. If China is able to actually stabilize here and and get back to work and turn around, that could also benefit the Aussie economy. Outside of that, because the risk right now is outside of China, it seems. I agree. I think this is an opportunity, Wilfred, to sell into these bounces into resistance. Just seeing this type of price action does not make me want to make any type of moves whatsoever today. This is not only abnormal, it's just simply ridiculous is a good description. All right, let's continue taking a look around. Before I do, I want to keep this bookmarked on my charts over here to come back to this later. All right. So let's start back. Euro US dollar. This is an insane move here. All right. Let me turn on to the weekly chart over here. I want to get a feel. Um, this trend line over here, and not only this trend line, you can see that there's a big area of resistance. All right, let's keep that in play over there. Do we have further resistance right overhead? Yeah, I think we do at 1575 also. It's definitely an area to watch. So here's the thing about the euro. Obviously, ECB is going to be next to act. It's a question of if they come in big. They're probably going to do something. They're probably going to be doing something, and I'm sure Christine does not like the euro trading at these levels right now. It's a question of what they do and if they act enough. But I do think that the upside going into Thursday is limited on the euro US dollar because of that. The only thing that I could foresee happening would be that they do not act big enough, and if they do not make a big enough move, then if we break this trend line over here to the upside, at that point we could be looking at a whole new ball game. I don't think that happens, but I want to be aware of it if it could. Um, Again, and that's why I like gold versus the euro going into Thursday, because the chances are they could come in and actually, they could come in with a Mario Draghi, whatever it takes moment, and with a giant bazooka and do what they can to protect their agenda over there. New Zealand dollar pairs right now, I think, are untouchable. The price action is just look. This is what is that? How do you trade that? Again, the only way you could trade that would be focusing in on the 1 minute. Uh, the 1 minute using the True Trend BTC, you can pull it up from the indicators if you want to do that. That's the only way to trade something like that. Euro Canadian dollar. I can't imagine, obviously, taking trades in favor of the Canadian dollar with oil expected to continue to hit lower levels. But right now, as oil's retracing, as this came off so incredibly hard and so fast, it's just retracing a little bit. Where's the next area of support to lean into? I don't know. Again, the ECB is meeting, so this seems a wild card, not something to take advantage of. So this looks more interesting than the Australian dollar. US dollar, we're talking about, Wilfred was talking about, he expects further selling to resume in the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar. Well, I think the Swiss franc is, with continued weakness, the place to play this as a safe haven play and seems a lot more attractive than the dollar. Euro, Swiss franc. Again, this is one to stay away from simply because the central bank of Swiss central bank is definitely active in this pair. You don't want to trade in the way of a central bank. At the same time, I do not think it's a good, even remotely a possibility of taking a long here. Look at the move on the euro, It hasn't even done anything here versus the Swiss franc. And if they stop intervening, this thing could collapse. So just stay away. Going back to the euro, first of all, it's a tough week to trade the euro with the ECB getting ready to act over here. These moves already happened. When you see something like this on the chart, there's no reason to get involved. Peter was talking about the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and this being a place of possible focus coming up. Right now, the move has happened, but following oil, again, we do expect to see further Japanese yen strength in this type of environment. So any retraces, we could reassess. Right now, you need to stand aside. And earlier, someone really had the insightful comment that they feel like right now is the best place to be, is just watching and observing from afar until something becomes abundantly clear. At the same time, there is a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity with fast moving markets, and that opportunity will remain. Um, right now, I am kind of focusing my attention on Bitcoin, and I think I'm going to be looking at uh, euro gold. We already checked out the New Zealand dollar. My Mima, it broke out that resistance level. It's trading into this local resistance now level over here, and that's where it seems to be putting up a fight. Listen, odds are we're gonna close down from this level today. Watch. Odds are we're gonna close down probably somewhere around this area right now. This is what I'm forecasting. This is my 20 years of trading telling me what happens when I see this type of pattern. I believe that we're going to end up somewhere right around the support. I'm not telling anyone to jump in here and fade this right now or anything like that. I'm not. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. From there, I have no idea. Pound Japanese yen looks like this is starting to resume its trend downwards over here. Again, the 4 hour is a really good time frame to focus in on right now. That's right, Wilford. Absolutely. Day trading, shorter time frames until something sets up with more clarity is the place to be. Peter, that must have been truly, truly, really positive, hopeful news for everyone across China to know that Wuhan has closed those temporary hospitals. I know that was for everyone outside of China to see. Japanese yen index. Talk about a failed breakout and then the movement afterwards. Here it is. Wow. Wow. All right, let's keep going. Thomas, there's a an article I looked at earlier this morning. Pull it up for you about what the ECB's options are today, going into Thursday. Thomas Hemphill, that link over there is for you about the options as far as what the ECB could do. All right. So we got, let me pull them up at the same time so we can get into it. All right, I narrow 30-minute demand zone. Look for a pullback to that level, right? So what level do you have over there? You have 0.63446. Let me pull this up on the daily so I can see where 6, 6, 634. A little bit higher, right? So Panera is looking for a pullback all the way down. I think this whole area of demand, again, I think we closed today at this level over here, this first level he has over up here, right around there. I have no idea what happens tomorrow. But look, if you're looking to long, a pullback down into here might be the way. Now, what I mean, the White House is looking. Trump does obviously like the markets trading down at this level. They're going to do whatever they can. If the White House does announce stimulus efforts anytime soon, and the markets rally off of that, because the Trump is not going to wait on the Fed. Um, you know, that could be supportive of the dollar. Now, just to reinforce and correct me if I'm wrong, 100% Hanero, but Hanero is short time frame minded. So the plan he's going in with, if anything changes, uh, he's going to change really quick as well. But in this session right now that we're in, if you see a pullback, because the markets are volatile, they could definitely do that, and it comes into his demand zone, then it's a live trade where it's tradable. Now, if other factors enter the market, such as the White House introducing stimulus, and all of a sudden the equity markets start rallying and the dollar gets a bid, then this trades off. So you got to be flexible. If you're trading off of a short time frames, you have to be ready to change your mind and your opinion just as quick as information enters the market. So here's the game plan right now he has laid out. That's a pullback into this demand zone to look to buy, never chasing after price. That's I already feel you 100% in there. I know you're at. I'm just again working together, building off each other. All right, all. I'm gonna take a few minutes here, um, just to check on the kids. So I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm gonna leave it to you. You guys have all been explosive and on fire. Anyway. Yeah, what's up? I'm back. Turns out the little boy had a fever, so I had to make sure he had some take care of that. Bill Boy, I don't know if you're inside the chat over here, Bill Boy. If not, I'll get back to you in the Telegram. Um, so again, if people are wondering, any trading decisions are obviously something that people need to make on their own and themselves. You could see over here, Bitcoin is coming down into this area of support. You could see my mouse over there horizontally. You have this area of trendline support. Bigger picture. You have to understand Bitcoin's 4-year cycles. There's the playlist on the channel that offers the Bitcoin halving, price prediction, and then when to sell in the bull phase. Watch those 2 videos, about 20 minutes of your time in total, and I think that your understanding of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle will be pretty spot on. Bitcoin remains under strong pressure today. Alts, which were showing signs of life earlier overnight, are selling off pretty hard. And there's a lot of pressure, but again, it's always hardest into the area of support. You're trading down into a nice area of support right now. This is usually when people get really excited, and around 10,000 into this area of resistance that people are getting very bullish on Bitcoin. And usually this is when people get very negative on Bitcoin. But look where you are, and we're coming down to an area that looks attractive to me. Trying to catch up on all your comments over here. Wow. Exciting times that we live in. Let's see. I think right now you can see other markets rallying on this possible stimulus. You can see coming back up right now, and to keep leave them on the 1 minute, coming into this area of resistance over here. If you trade it above, there's room to spike up. So just a heads up for tomorrow. Um, we're gonna go live at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time instead of 9 o'clock Eastern time. No, let me find that here. I didn't see that. Yeah. So, by the way, Hanero, if we were to lose that, if we were to lose 5,800, right? If we were to trade below 5,800, at that point, I would be very concerned. I would be very concerned. Let me show why. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. This is your you have the high. Look, watch that play out again. So in this second halving cycle, here, you have the bull phase. We have over here this reaccumulation phase. If we're trading under 5,800, this yellow box, we'd be trading below that yellow reaccumulation phase of the market. You could see over here that strong support over there in between 6,000 and 5,800. If we were to break below that, that would be the first time Bitcoin in a 4-year halving cycle during this phase, months away from the halving, was able to ever trade below that area. That would seem to me that something is extraordinarily wrong. The model no longer stands. And at that point, I would have to reevaluate strongly. Now, we're about right here where my mouse is right now. We're less than 60 days away from the halving event. Now, you had two things happen. You had, going into the first halving, price trade down about 30%, and then rise into the halving. After the halving, basically stable until it then, I don't know what that is, 3 to 6 months later, went bull. The second cycle, you had a different thing happen. You had price rise into the halving, and you could see that actually we traded above the yellow reaccumulation phase during that period. And then as soon as the halving came, there was a sharp 30% drawdown, price stabilized, and then 3 to 6 months later, went bull, and then for a longer time. So if we lose 5,800, because here we traded above, I would not. I would have to strongly reevaluate my case, but I would zero. There's no chance I would have given up on Bitcoin. I would just be really concerned, and this is why you always need to trade what is happening and trade price. And going back to Bitcoin right now, if we lose this trend line over here, then the odds are we're coming in and we're testing 6,500, right? So from here to here, you better hedge yourself. Now, if we lost 6,500, right? Well, then we're looking down at 6,000, 5,800, right? If we lost that, well, then who knows, right? We could be trading down past 5,000 at that point, and you got to have your case, you got to have your thesis, and then you got to trade around it depending on what's happening on the charts. So it's a fluid situation. I think this is a good place to pick up Bitcoin over here. Of course, that's assuming this trend line holds. If this trend line does not hold over here, you're gonna expect we're gonna trade off about. Hold on. So trend line is at around, let's call it 7,300, right? You got that support coming in over there as well. If you break that level, we're going down another $800, I would assume. I'll pull that up. So crude right now is obviously retracing a little bit. Russia, I mean, Saudi Arabia basically started a war, and we're gonna see lower oil prices. Timing is everything. I don't know. I have zero idea what happens from here, from 30 to $4. I can't tell you if we, trade down to 26 or trade up to 40 in the intermediate time. This is really, this is not normal price action. Trading down 30% in one day on oil, this is really not normal. Saudi Arabia is upping production, selling oil to China for cheaper than market price. Russia is now saying that they're prepared for $25 oil for the next 10 years, and they would be fine under those circumstances. The global economy is slowing down right now. The demand for oil is definitely less. The supply is more because of the lower price of the oil. All countries that depend on oil as a source of revenue need to sell more. Expect lower oil prices. How to trade that's a different story, and how to trade that after such a move is also another story. Right now is not the time to trade it, right? If you're trading, you're speculating. And if you're speculating, that's one thing, but then you have to be able to read the price action very well, and to be able to trade and turn on the drop of a snap of a finger. Uh, all I could say, broader term, broader strokes, we're going to see lower oil prices. How to trade that in the near term? There's no way. Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like the markets are trying to rally here off of the White House stimulus jawboning. Um, you watch out for a firmer dollar, everyone. It might be a good area. People are looking to get long right now. Commodity currencies versus the dollar. The dollar might be firming up here. Just a heads up. Just a heads up. We might see some volatilities in the markets. We might see some spectacular gains, put up here on the U.S. indices. And if that happens, the dollar is going to firm up. Just listen. No one get tied to a position here. If you are even trading right now, I don't know, man. Putin's pretty calculated. Saudi's pretty ruthless, and Putin's pretty calculated. Let me check them out, Hanero. So Blair, I don't. So that's a tough one because we saw so we saw. So the one thing you have to understand about Bitcoin right now, though, is that 13,000 Bitcoin were moved, and why that Bitcoin was moved um, over the weekend. Bitcoin has sold off hard, but going into last week, Bitcoin was trading up while U.S. equities were trading down. So that's tough. Well, Blair, there's actually a pretty tight correlation to what you're saying here. I mean, I see big sell off in Bitcoin, right? This must be the weekend. Bitcoin traded up, markets traded up. Over here, this was on Friday, right? So Bitcoin was the markets were trading down big, but Bitcoin was just stable. So this is where it gets very iffy. over here, excuse me. Over here, 100% I agree with what you're saying, and that's a good observation. On Friday, US S&P got crushed, Bitcoin was trading up, and then this move here on Bitcoin is, I believe, again from those tokens being dumped. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't have a clear indication on that at all. So just a quick heads up, Henry, I'm trying to get to those exact comments. So, but the one thing I want to add, first of all, and this is really important. If Hanera is sharing some charts and some ideas, you have to use it 100% as a learning experience, because uh, Hanero is trading on a short time frame, and he's ready to change his mind and views very quickly. He can't he can't be responsible for getting you into a trade because he can't manage it for you as well. It's on that type of time frame, things change, and not only that, like, listen, he could share ideas and charts, and it's better if he shares, trades that worked out, and then he's sharing how they worked out, and you learning from that, as opposed to if you put the pressure on him in trying in real time to offer the trades he's looking at, that's going to affect his trading, and probably not in a good way. And that's not fair to him, right? He wants to help, share and give what insight he can, and obviously he's more than willing to answer questions and give his advice. But just be aware, since we're a community, of putting him in a situation that's going to be adverse to his trading, and that's putting the pressure on him of now, when he's taking a trade, of having the responsibility for the others, and that brings a whole different set of dynamics into it. um and especially with what's going on right now, we're not talking about our normal market fluctuations. We are in some uh, insanely abnormal conditions, and things are fluid and things are changing. The best way you could probably learn from him is, if he takes 3 trades overnight, and then he's sharing the trade that worked out the best as a way to learn. All right, pounds, Japanese yen. You guys are looking at now. You're looking at, to 135. So what I'm seeing in the markets to build off of that, I'm looking for us to kind of fade a little bit these strong reactions we've seen in this morning. Time of day, moves don't really generally continue so much at this time of day. To see the yen, which has been so strong, come off a little bit would be quite normal. So bigger picture before we get down to looking at possibly 135. Is a bigger picture. I'm looking at price coming down and testing this trend line resistance, and so far it's holding it. Would it be normal to retrace off of that? Absolutely. If we break back below it, that's a sign that there's more selling to come on. 135, 135. I see there's some support and resistance right over there. Yeah, I mean 135, a little higher, right? 135.10. Come down to 30 minutes. Look, so to make it easy on you, you have this low, another low is put in, and then if we come out and take out the swing high, well, that's almost to the target area. So Even on day trading, Hanera, your go-to seems to be looking for a down test, a retest of that area, and then a bounce. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add. I don't see any type of resistance up until 135.09. Looking back to the left side of the chart where I just did with you. So absolutely, and it makes more sense too. If you have any sellers who went ahead and put their stops in right over there at 135, right? We're going to come back up, take them out again. I would not be surprised at all. Um, you have about 1 hour left of probably pretty solid trading before, or New York's probably heading to lunch right now. I'm off by an hour now. So be careful, be aware of time of day also, everyone. There you go. Hanero said it before I did. London's closing, right? And time of day, the US dollar, Japanese yen, create your vlog 100%. We'll get to that in just one moment. Um, Either which way, Hanero and I both at the same time hit on the same important thing. You have to be aware of time of day. Always when trading. Now's not the time to be initiating positions. There you go. Who's Jordan? I'm Jordan. What's going on, Thomas? Um, US dollar, Japanese yen. Let's take a look. Similar thing. You see this looks like it's retracing a little. Just like the pound Japanese yen that we just looked at came into that trend line support and it held. The US dollar Japanese yen came all the way down into this support over here. I can't even believe it. I'm thankful I had the support line drawn in there because I'm looking at it now, seeing it. It's the first time that I'm analyzing this all day. But what do you do with this? Listen, you don't do anything. On a bar like this, this is on the US dollar, Japanese yen, a 400 pip bar. Price now retracing off of that a little bit. You don't trade it, especially at this time of day. You don't trade it. I think what we're going to do later today, well, I think what I'm going to do, because I think I'm going to get, back online for a live stream a little later, around Asia. I don't have any time. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and you'll be alerted when I do. But I'm going to do a little bit of review of the market then. And between now and then, I don't think it's a good idea for people to be involved in trading, being at the time of day it is. But I think things warrant right now multiple looks throughout the day like that. But right now, you don't do anything here. You stand aside and you wait, and you wait until something becomes more clearer. First of all, you don't to step in against this momentum and buy. That's a little crazy, um, and probably not the best thing to do with the situation of the yen being the safe haven bid. If all of a sudden the U.S. reports an additional 500 cases, what do you think is going to happen? Probably risk off pretty quickly. If the U.S. dollar, if the White House releases some type of details on stimulus, and you see equity markets actually rise today, and you see the dollar firm up, yeah, the dollar could bounce here, but you probably want to take positions against other currencies on a firming dollar. Not You don't want to long the U.S. dollar versus the Japanese yen. You want to look to sell rallies, to sell into resistances. I don't see any near term resistances right now. You just want to stand aside. Yep, I'll announce it to the Telegram, 100%. If you're not already if you go into the description, you'll see a link that says free Telegram. Go ahead and click that right now. I'll alert you all when I go live later today. I will go live later today. So oil, obviously, we all know, opened down more than 20% and then traded down 30%. Again, that's not normal behavior. It's retracing right now. We expect lower oil prices in the future, but in the immediate term, it's impossible to tell. It's impossible to tell. If you're unsure about something, yes, I do think it's a good idea to get out of the trade 100%. You do want to be short oil, but not right now. Price is rising, right? Price is rising. If you're looking to get short oil, whether it's on the 4-hour or the 8-hour time frame, probably the 4-hour, look for a price to make a lower low than the previous price bar as the first indication that this trend is resuming downwards. Is it possible that we come all the way up and close that gap before coming back down? That's entirely possible. That's pretty far away, right? You're talking $6-7 away. So $8 away, $7 away. We closed around 41.50. Right now we're at 34.70. You know, $7 away. That's a lot. So if I think cutting your loss here, and then waiting for a resumption downwards and then going with the momentum makes more sense. But it's impossible to say. I don't know if this is the high print right now and we resume downwards, or if we keep trading up. But I do know the first indication of this downtrend resuming downwards from this little bit of a bounce will be when price makes a lower low than a previous price bar, right? Which is right now it's not doing. Thank you, Hanera, for all that you add. Thank you for really being so open to helping others. All right, everyone. That's it for today. Good session. Just two things. Tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, we'll go live. And I'm also going to go live later this afternoon. Go ahead, scroll down in the description, get into that Telegram group, and you'll be alerted when. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon. Enjoy the day.